King Charles is no stranger to royal rumors, but when a man claiming to be Princess Diana's hidden son walked into court, everything changed. Charles's tears stunned the nation, and the courtroom turned into a battlefield. The evidence is real. The truth contrasts the official royal timeline, and it's shaking the crown. The shocking courtroom bombshell. The courtroom was tense, every camera flash cutting through the silence like lightning. Reporters filled every seat, waiting for the moment that could shake the foundations of the royal family. Then, a man stepped forward, Simon Charles Durante Day, claiming to be Princess Diana's hidden son. His presence wasn't just unexpected, it was explosive. Within minutes, news alerts flooded phones worldwide. Royal bloodline in jeopardy. Secret heir to Diana. Crown faces new crisis. The headlines wrote themselves. Inside sources confirmed that King Charles III was present during the hearing. Seated quietly among his legal team, he reportedly looked visibly distressed. One witness described him as frozen, pale, and clearly emotional. A court sketch artist even captured what looked like a tear sliding down his cheek. The moment Simon claimed Diana was his mother, the king reportedly whispered, "This again. It's all coming back." That single line fueled global speculation. Meanwhile, outside the courtroom, the streets were chaotic. Crowds had gathered since 6 a.m., holding signs that read things like "Justice for Diana" and "Truth must be heard." Dozens of news outlets, from London to Sydney, broadcast live from the courthouse steps. Helicopters hovered overhead. The world wasn't just watching, it was waiting for the next move. But what gave Simon the confidence to come forward now? And what proof did he bring that shook the palace so deeply? Let's move into that next. Who is this hidden son? The man who claims to be Diana's secret child is Simon Charles Durante Day, an Australian man born in April 1966, adopted by a British couple connected to royal service. For years, Simon has insisted that his adoptive grandparents worked for Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, and that he was secretly handed over at birth, the result of a royal cover-up. Simon says he has spent over 20 years trying to uncover the truth. He's pointed to facial comparisons between himself and members of the royal family, especially Prince William and Prince Charles, which have gone viral across social media. In his possession are what he claims are letters, allegedly written by Princess Diana, that hint at a child born before her marriage, though none have been independently verified. Most shocking of all, his legal team claims they have made multiple requests for a DNA test from King Charles III, all of which have either been ignored or denied. According to court records, at least 5 formal applications have been filed since 2018. Simon has said, "This isn't about money. It's about identity, truth, and my right to know who I am." Still, the public remains divided. Some call him delusional. Others believe he's telling the truth. Online polls show around 46% of respondents say his story sounds plausible, while others accuse him of chasing attention. But one thing is clear: Simon's not backing down. He's taken his fight all the way to the courtroom, with the king watching. Next, we'll break down how this claim fits, or doesn't fit, into the known royal timeline. Charles and Diana, the real royal timeline. One of the biggest problems with Simon Durante Day's claim is the timeline, and it simply doesn't add up. Charles and Diana met in 1977, when Diana was just 16 years old. At that time, Charles was dating her sister, Lady Sarah Spencer. Their relationship didn't begin until years later, and their first son, Prince William, was born in 1982. But Simon was born in April 1966, 11 years before Charles and Diana even met. His story suggests Diana was secretly pregnant at around 17 or 18, yet she would have only been 5 years old in 1966, making that timeline biologically impossible. Charles, in 1965 to 66, was a student at Cambridge, with no link to Diana during that period. Critics say the claim falls apart on this point alone. One royal historian said, "If you follow the dates, the claim collapses under its own weight." Still, Simon insists the official record is incomplete and that hidden royal connections go back farther than the public knows. But without DNA or records, the timeline stands strong, and Simon's story remains on shaky ground. Next, what evidence does he actually have to back it up? What evidence is on the table? In cases like this, speculation is one thing, but proof is what matters most. So far, Simon Charles Durante Day has brought forward several pieces of what he claims is undeniable evidence that he's Princess Diana's biological son. First, there are the alleged letters. Simon claims to possess handwritten notes, supposedly written by Diana herself, that hint at a secret child who was taken from her at birth. These letters have not been authenticated by any independent expert, but Simon insists their handwriting and tone match Diana's style. He has shown these on Australian media, where his case first gained traction. Next is the visual evidence, something Simon's supporters are calling genetic resemblance. Dozens of side-by-side comparison photos have been circulating online, showing Simon next to King Charles, Prince William, and even Queen Elizabeth II. The focus is often on facial structure, eye shape, and even teeth. Some of these photos have gone viral, sparking debates across Reddit, TikTok, and Facebook threads. Then comes the legal angle. Since 2018, Simon's legal team has submitted at least 5 formal court requests to obtain a DNA sample from King Charles III. Every one of those requests has either been denied or blocked on grounds of jurisdiction or privacy. Simon argues this refusal only strengthens his case, claiming, "If they're so sure I'm lying, why not give the test and end it?" Adding fuel to the fire, 2 individuals have stepped forward, one claiming to be a former royal nurse and the other a retired aide from the Queen's household. Both suggest there were whispers and unusual procedures involving newborns and adoption during the mid-1960s. However, neither has provided sworn testimony under oath. But here's where things get shaky. Despite all the claims, there are still no verified hospital records, no adoption files connected to the royal family, and no evidence linking Simon's birth to any known royal activity. Critics say that without hard documents, such as a confirmed birth certificate showing Diana as the mother, the case remains speculative. As one UK legal analyst put it, he has photos, he has passion, but until there's DNA, it's all smoke. Still, Simon continues pushing forward, and now that the matter is in court, the pressure on the palace to respond is mounting fast. Next, we'll look at how King Charles himself has been affected by this rising storm of King Charles's emotional unraveling. As the court case unfolded, insiders began whispering about something that stunned even longtime royal watchers. King Charles III was not just aware of the proceedings, he was emotionally breaking down behind the scenes. Multiple sources close to the royal legal team reported that Charles had been receiving private legal briefings on the case well before it became public. According to one senior court aide, he's been dreading this for years. It's the one rumor he hoped would never reach a courtroom. What truly shocked those around him, however, was his reaction. During a confidential legal meeting in late September, a royal source claims Charles was handed a new motion, one that included yet another formal request for a DNA test, backed by Simon's lawyers in Australia and the UK. Upon reading the motion, Charles reportedly whispered, "It's all coming, back now," before excusing himself from the room. The same source described the moment as a total unraveling. Charles reportedly looked pale, his hands trembling, as aides helped him from the chamber. Sketch artists later showed the king in court looking visibly tense, eyes red, jaw clenched, posture slouched, an image far from the confident monarch usually portrayed by the palace. A short recess was called shortly after. No official statement explained the interruption, but those inside the room believe it was done to allow Charles to regain composure. Some speculate the memory of Princess Diana, the pressure of legacy, and the fear of scandal all collided in that moment. On social media, the reactions were immediate. Phrases like, "What does Charles know?" "DNA panic," and "King cracking under pressure" began trending across platforms. The phrase, "It's all coming back," allegedly spoken by Charles, was quoted thousands of times. One royal commentator summed it up clearly. "This is no longer just a tabloid rumor." The king's emotional reaction tells us this hits somewhere deep, and maybe somewhere true. And as questions swirl around the palace walls, eyes have now turned to how the rest of the royal family is reacting, especially the king's sons. Royal family reactions: William, Harry, and Camilla. The royal family has been trained for decades to remain silent under fire, but this case has caused visible cracks, especially between Prince William, Prince Harry, and Queen Camilla. Inside palace walls, Prince William is said to be furious and disgusted by the claim. Though he hasn't spoken publicly, royal insiders say William views the court case as an attack on Diana's memory and an insult to her real children. According to staff at Kensington Palace, William has refused to even read the legal filings, calling them a circus. In contrast, Prince Harry, who now lives in the United States, has reportedly been keeping a close eye on developments. A source close to the Sussex camp shared that Harry is watching this carefully, particularly because the name of Princess Diana is central to the case. Some believe Harry's distance from the crown gives him the freedom to be more curious, or perhaps more open, about the truth. Then there's Camilla, now Queen Consort, who has been noticeably withdrawn from public appearances since the case surfaced. Paparazzi photos show her avoiding eye contact with reporters, and body language experts have pointed out signs of discomfort: stiff posture, closed hands, and forced smiles during recent outings. She has said nothing publicly, but palace insiders claim she's deeply unsettled by how close this issue is coming to Charles's doorstep. Behind the scenes, the palace communications team has been holding emergency meetings, trying to manage the damage. A leaked email from a royal PR consultant warned of the potential for public sympathy to swing toward Simon if Charles appears evasive. And perhaps most quietly significant is the growing divide between William and Harry. This case has reopened wounds that were already deep. Diana's name, once a shared memory, now appears as a dividing line between the brother, one determined to protect the crown, the other still fighting to protect her legacy. A former palace aide put it bluntly, "Every time Diana's name returns, the family splinters a little more. This is just another ghost, and it's haunting them all." And with legal challenges mounting, the next chapter moves from family drama to potential constitutional risk. Legal chaos and crown risk. The courtroom battle isn't just about family secrets anymore. It's now entering uncharted legal territory, and the consequences could stretch straight to the throne. At the heart of Simon's demand is one thing: legal recognition. If the court allows his case to proceed, and he's found to have any legitimate biological link to Princess Diana, it could trigger a chain of events the monarchy has never dealt with before. Simon's legal team is now pushing for court-ordered DNA testing, specifically from King Charles III himself. Their argument is based on the belief that the public has a right to transparency when it comes to matters of national history. They also argue that since the monarchy receives public funding, royal lineage should not be immune to legal scrutiny. The palace's legal defense has responded quickly. They've moved to dismiss the case, arguing that the British High Court has no jurisdiction over such claims, especially given Simon's Australian citizenship and the lack of verified documentation linking him to the royal family. In one statement, Charles's legal representative wrote, "This claim rests on conjecture, not law." The court is not the forum for fantasy. Still, the case has thrown experts into debate. Some royal commentators and constitutional lawyers are asking, could this case reach the UK Supreme Court? Could it even go as far as the Privy Council, where royal matters are sometimes reviewed behind closed doors? What's more, there's confusion among the public about what's truly at stake. Many believe that if Simon is proven to be Diana's biological son, he could threaten the line of succession. But experts say that's not legally possible. Under current British law, only children born within a legitimate royal marriage qualify for succession, and even then, it's controlled by strict protocols. Simon would be seen as an illegitimate claimant, regardless of the DNA. But public perception doesn't always follow legal facts. If the court allows the case to go forward, and King Charles refuses DNA testing, the fallout could damage public trust, especially among younger generations. A recent YouGov poll found that 41% of UK respondents believe the monarchy should cooperate fully with any legitimate paternity inquiry. As one royal lawyer put it, "This may not bring down the crown, but it could stain it permanently." And while the courts handle the legal mess, the media machine has already turned this into a global sensation. Media firestorm and public opinion. As soon as the courtroom doors opened, the cameras were already rolling. This isn't just a case anymore. It's a media juggernaut, spreading from the UK to Australia, the United States, and even France. News networks like BBC, Sky News, and Channel 7 Australia are covering every hearing, every leak, and every glance exchanged in the courtroom. Netflix and HBO have reportedly begun early talks with Simon's legal team, exploring the rights to adapt his story into a drama or documentary. One producer described it as, "The Crown meets the Da Vinci Code." On social media, the story exploded instantly. Hashtags like #RoyalSonScandal, #HiddenHeir, and #Justice for Diana have been trending globally. TikTok creators are breaking down side-by-side images of Simon and the Windsors, while YouTubers dig into old footage of Diana, looking for clues. In under 48 hours, one Simon interview clip gained over 4.3 million views. And then came the tabloid gold. The Sun published an exclusive interview with Simon's adoptive parents, who claimed they were told his birth involved a high-profile family, and that they were instructed not to ask questions. Daily Mail ran a headline that read, "Is this the face of Diana's forgotten child?" Public opinion is now split. A recent poll from The Guardian showed that 46% of readers believe Simon's claim is possibly true, while 37% called it nonsense, and the rest remained unsure. Age seems to play a factor. Younger Brits are more likely to believe the claim, while older generations lean toward skepticism. Palace PR advisors are struggling to control the narrative. One insider said, "Every time we try to shut it down, it explodes even more." That's because for many people, this case isn't just about DNA. It's about Princess Diana, her legacy, her truth, and the idea that she may have been silenced more than the world ever knew. Even journalists with long ties to the palace have begun asking tough questions. Why hasn't Charles just taken the test? Why not disprove it once and for all? And as the media builds this into one of the biggest royal scandals of the decade, the next question becomes, is this all part of a larger plan? Because what's unfolding in court may only be the first chapter of something far more dangerous for the House of Windsor. Theories, motives, and secret agendas. As the courtroom drama intensifies, another layer is quietly building, one filled with theories, agendas, and manipulation. This isn't just about one man's claim anymore. It's become a battlefield for royal critics, conspiracy theorists, and hidden players. Some analysts now believe Simon Durante may not be acting entirely alone. Whispers from insiders point to anti-monarchist groups, possibly foreign-backed, who are interested in destabilizing the royal image at a time when the monarchy is already under pressure. One former intelligence consultant even suggested, there are those who would love to see the crown crumble, and this case gives them a perfect vehicle. Then comes the timing, and it's impossible to ignore. This case has gained traction right as King Charles III's health has become a topic of quiet concern. Reports of hospital visits and reduced public engagements have led to speculation that Charles may be preparing to transition duties to Prince William. So why would Simon choose now to push harder than ever? Some believe it's deliberate, a strike during a moment of transition and vulnerability. Another theory gaining traction is that Simon might not be Charles's son, but still Diana's. This version suggests Diana may have had a child before or outside of her royal marriage, possibly under pressure, possibly in secret. That theory would remove Charles from the equation, but still raise serious questions about why the palace would keep that hidden, and whether others knew. There's also talk of a second letter surfacing, one allegedly written by Diana in the late 1980s, hinting at a child she had lost to circumstances. No one has seen it publicly yet, but Simon's legal team has hinted that more evidence is coming. And it doesn't stop there. A former palace staffer claims a sealed document, classified under the Official Secrets Act, was filed in 1995 and may contain references to an unacknowledged royal child. If that document exists, getting it unsealed could create the biggest royal revelation since the abdication crisis of 1936. Of course, critics argue this is all fantasy, a storm of coincidence and imagination. But even they admit, this case is gathering energy, and someone is clearly fueling it. And so we arrive at the real question. If this isn't just about Simon, then what or who is this really about? The answer may come in the next phase, where legacy, truth, and the very future of the monarchy are on the line. Final stakes: truth, legacy, and the monarchy's future. After years of denial, thousands of documents, and nearly 2 decades of claims, the case of Simon Durante has reached its highest point yet, and possibly its breaking point. The court has now issued a formal deadline for King Charles III's legal team to respond to the DNA motion. They have 30 days. If no cooperation is shown, the court may consider alternative routes, including compelling action through international legal channels or issuing a default judgment on recognition claims. This puts the palace in a near impossible position. If Charles agrees to the test and the results are negative, it might end things once and for all. But if he refuses, public suspicion will only grow, and the monarchy may be seen as hiding something, whether it's real or not. Behind palace doors, there's panic. Advisors worry that even without legal consequences, this could tarnish William's reign before it begins. One royal aide put it bluntly, "If the crown passes with a stain, it won't be worn the same way." Prince William, already carrying the weight of his father's future and his mother's legacy, now faces a different challenge. Even if this case is proven false, the idea of a forgotten royal child has entered the public consciousness. Trust, once broken, doesn't easily return. Meanwhile, Simon has made one thing clear: "I will not stop. Not until I know the truth. Not until Diana's truth is heard." His legal team is preparing the next round of filings, which could include subpoenas for private correspondences, archival access, and even a witness list rumored to feature a former royal nanny. What happens next could define how the public views the monarchy for the next generation. In a world already skeptical of old institutions, another royal cover-up, even an unproven one, could turn respect into rejection. And as that court deadline approaches, the palace faces the one enemy it has never been able to silence: public doubt. Because this time, the question isn't just, is Simon telling the truth? It's, what is the crown willing to do to keep it hidden? Whether you believe Simon Durante Day or not, one thing is clear: this case has forced open royal wounds that were buried for decades. The king's emotional response speaks louder than palace statements. As the court demands answers, only DNA can prove the truth. Until then, the monarchy holds its breath,